Alright, what up, man? Fuck the intro and all that, man. It's about Cedric Johnson. Rest in peace, little homie. Love you, baby boy. But before we get into that horrible shit, let's do a little background story. Good job, Amber. Good job, baby girl. Let's get it. Whoop.
There is an Amber Alert.
Amber Alert.
Amber Alert. Amber Alert.
Amber Alert. It's Amber Alert.
An Amber Alert issue.
An Amber Alert issue this weekend.
An Amber Alert issue. An Amber Alert was issued for earlier today.
An Amber Alert issued for a missing 2-year-old girl.
Amber Alerts are plastered on signs above highways. Amber Alert.
Amber.
Amber. Amber. Amber.
Amber.
She always called him Bubba. He'd always call her Sissy, it was always Sissy and Bubba.
I had to get A on a row, 8 times in a row, and I had to do good things in the class and help.
So you make good grades.
Look, I made this for you.
Thank you, that's pretty. Dear Mom, this is for you that I made at school. I love you a lot. Love, Amber. Love you.
Whoa, this is heavy. Sounds like mommy. It is.
The last thing I told Amber was, you stay with your little brother and you'll come right back. She was riding her bicycle. She turns around and she said, okay, Mommy, I love you. And that was the last I heard her voice. 7 minutes later, she was gone. She was nowhere to be found.
Y'all can stop the video if y'all want to read. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it going.
I just kind of hope I can, go back in time and change things, but I can't. I mean, I was so young. I knew she was gone, but I didn't know why. I didn't very much understand it. But I just knew a bad man took my sister.
You were riding with her?
Yes.
That day you guys were riding through the parking lot. Can you remember someone pulling up? What do you remember happened?
We were supposed to go around the block, and I was scared to get in trouble. And I said, let's go back. And I took off, and By the time I got to the house, my grandfather asked me where was my sister, and went back to get her, and she was gone that fast. Special reports. We have late developments in the accumulate newsroom, and it is a rather ominous development in the case of 9-year-old Amber Hagerman.
Apparently he was walking her dog, and he looked over the fence and had saw something white. Looked again and noticed that it was a body.
I knew something was wrong. And they started getting the yellow tape out and putting it around my mom's home. I just went crazy then. I said, no, you're not going to tell me something that I don't want to hear. They told me one thing I can't do is pick her up and hold her like a mom with her child, because she was almost decapitated.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I miss that. I wanted to hold her. But, I got to hold her little hands and told her, it's okay. Mommy's here now. It's okay.
Our little Amber's a little angel in heaven now. We're going to miss it.
It's filthy as can be. She wore it Thursday, but I don't think I want to wash it. Got her. Time to go get in the bathtub. It's time to brush your teeth. It's time for dinner. I still have a habit saying kids. I still have, people ask me how many kids you have. I have 2. I just can't get used to saying I only have 1 child now.
Happy birthday, dear Amber.
Make a wish and just vote out. Vote out for Amber? What?
The child is back reunited to their parents, I look up to heaven and say, honey, you did it again, baby girl. This guy, he stole her life from her, he stole her from me, and he tortured her. He really butchered my little girl, and I want him caught. I want him behind bars. I don't want him here on this earth.
What has this person taken from your family?
My best friend. Yeah, she was my best friend.
Even today, I hand these reward posters out to anybody and everybody that would take one. I really, really want her to have justice. She deserves it. I'm not going to give up.
Can't see her, we can't touch and feel her, but I just want to let her know I'm still here for her. I won't forget her ever. Ever.
And we wanted you to see a little more of him. There's some pictures we're showing you right now. These are really some of the best pictures we've received from family. Family says he answers to CJ or Junior as well, and he was last seen around 18 hours ago. Keep in mind, he's only 18 months old. Now, we know that Cedric was living here at this apartment complex, the Twin Oaks complex off Whitehurst, with his aunt after being placed here by CPS within the last month or so. Dallas police say early this morning, another girl inside this apartment said she woke up and heard a noise. We're told she's 9 years old. She saw a man go into her bedroom and take 18-month-old Cedric. Now, according to sources, this girl understandably was afraid, thinking she was going to be taken too, so she hid and then told her relative. The aunt then called the child's parents early this morning, which set off this response from Dallas police that we've seen here today. Dog teams earlier in the afternoons looking for this child, that they have come up empty. Now, the child's mother says she found out early this morning, again, when the child's aunt called saying he was missing.
I just say that, my baby's a good baby. He's a good boy. He's quiet. He's nice. He's a little shy. I just keep him safe. Just bring him back to us. Just bring him back to us. It doesn't matter where he is. I just want him back with us, safe.
All right, so Dallas police this afternoon did say that there is a person of interest in custody in this disappearance of this child. Now, this person is being held on unrelated charges in Keller at this point, and what we're told, this person of interest in their 40s has not said anything about having Cedric at any point so far. So that is something they're working on, and it's because of that, Izzy and Chris, that they have DPD has brought in the FBI to assist in this investigation, clearly showing their level of concern really couldn't be higher at this point. Back to you.
All right, David, another developing story right now. Bye, Daisy. You be good. I'll see you later. Belonged to the toddler were found in the local landfill. Thank you for joining us. I'm Gilma Avalos. Doug Dunbar is off tonight. 27-year-old Cedric Johnson is in police custody. He is the boyfriend of an aunt who was caring for the toddler. Police say Johnson confessed to taking the boy from the Northeast Dallas apartment and putting him in a dumpster. Detectives later found the child's remains in a landfill in Rowlett. We have team coverage tonight, starting with Jason Allen with new details from the arrest affidavit. Jason?
And Dallas police and firefighters and FBI investigators, this is where they made that discovery this morning. They've told us that the boy's body has now been taken to the coroner's office. However, they still maintain a presence out here this evening. Up there on that highest ridge you can see back behind me, that's where they were searching and made that discovery today. Investigators ended up here after finding out that Cedric Johnson, the boyfriend of the aunt the child was staying with, was at her apartment the night the boy disappeared. An arrest affidavit says originally police didn't know that, but it says the aunt changed her story, and other children who were there in the apartment, they confirmed it. The affidavit goes on to say CJ, the baby, had gotten up in the night recently and made a mess of some ketchup packets in the apartment. And because of that, the affidavit says, Cedric Johnson, quote, tightly swaddles CJ at night to restrict the child's movement. Well, early Wednesday morning, it says the boy was wrapped but was making noise, and the affidavit says when subject unwrapped CJ, he began throwing up and became unresponsive. The document says Johnson said he performed CPR, but the boy wasn't moving, so that's when he put him in the car and drove to a dumpster and left him. And other children in the apartment told investigators that they heard the boy, quote, crying in the early morning, late night, then stopped suddenly and then disappeared.
Detectives then learned that the dumpster had been emptied at least twice at a landfill in Rowlett. Dallas police, along with local firefighters and agents from the FBI, went to the location to search the landfill. Cedric remains again were found shortly after 11 a.m. today.
So Cedric Johnson is in jail tonight. He is facing a charge of serious bodily injury to a child. There could be more charges, though, depending on what the medical examiner finds, and police said that no one else right now is a person of interest in this case. With this news, of course, the scene at the apartment where the boy was living is much different today than it was yesterday. Brooke Rogers is live for us there tonight.
Well, Jason, we've seen family members coming and going throughout the day to them, many of them in tears. I did speak to the little boy's mother and great-grandmother earlier today, and they asked for privacy as they continue to grieve and process his death. This is where the search and investigation into C.J. Jackson's disappearance began. Child Protective Services had placed the 18-month-old here temporarily with his paternal aunt, a decision his mother said yesterday she supported.
There were some issues that I had to deal with for myself, just to get me to, be a better mother, but we were totally voluntarily okay with that.
Now her only child is dead, and his aunt's boyfriend is behind bars. Cedric Johnson is facing injury to a child's serious bodily injury. Police say more charges could follow pending the outcome of the autopsy. They also say Johnson confessed to taking CJ and putting him in a dumpster. Johnson has a long criminal history that includes a count of abandoning or endangering a child. CJ's aunt told police she put the toddler to bed around 11 p.m. Tuesday, and when she awoke Wednesday, he had disappeared. Yesterday, his mother called that story suspicious.
It just baffles me that, a child can get taken without anybody hearing anything, or if you supposedly said the child that was sleeping next to you in your bed, so I just want to medic.
And we've also learned that CPS did remove 6 children from the apartment yesterday. 4 of those children belong to Johnson, the other 2 to his girlfriend. Live in Dallas, Brooke Rogers, CBS 11 News. Very difficult details to process. Thank you, Brooke. The Amber Alert issued for Cedric Jackson may not have prevented his death, but some say that's no excuse for the way it was relayed to the public. JD Miles continues our team coverage live from Dallas. JD?
Gil, a lot of people were probably scratching their heads when they looked at the Amber Alert alarms on their phones and saw only a message that said, check your local media. There's concern that if authorities keep misusing the alert system, people will stop paying attention to it. The Amber Alert goes off on our phones.
Daniel Burke's phone got his attention around 10 last night.
The alert comes up, and it always scares the heck out of you when it comes up.
Details are essential in Burke's job as a Frisco realtor. So the Amber Alert about 18-month-old Cedric Jackson that only said check your local media really touched a nerve.
Oh, wow, that's so counterintuitive to see that. This is an Amber Alert. This is a human life. If you're missing details, it doesn't help anybody, and eventually people are just going to turn the alerts off.
That's the fear of former Tarrant County Sheriff Dee Anderson, who created the nationwide child abduction alert system after the Arlington murder of Amber Hagerman.
The danger in that is it becomes meaningless. If you don't have good, solid need and good, solid information every time the alert goes out, it's going to become background noise.
Anderson believes police agencies are sending out vague alerts to protect themselves from criticism if they don't. Dallas police issued an alert in May with zero information after a child was reportedly left in a stolen vehicle.
But just to avoid the criticism, they're going to say, let's just go and issue one. That way, no one can criticize us for not doing it. And if that's happening, then that's really the greatest fear we had when we started the program.
When video captured a child being abducted by a stranger 2 months ago in Fort Worth, police blamed a broken fax machine for a 5-hour delay issuing an Amber Alert. Each time there's a breakdown, there's an increased risk that fewer people will take them seriously.
When I see one come up, my subconscious starts looking for whatever that car is. Amber Alerts may not have made a difference in the 3 cases we cited, but Anderson believes someday they will make a difference. Dallas police says DPS was responsible for sending out the message that went out last night, that vague message. DPS says it only put out the message that Dallas police requested. Live in Dallas, JD Miles, CBS 11 News.
Thank you, JD. The investigation into the death of 18-month-old Cedric Jackson is only beginning. Stay with CBS 11 on air and online at cbsdfw.com for any new developments in this case.
Pieces in cups. We had them both here, and we were like, why not?
Good afternoon. My name is Major Vincent Weddington. My last name is spelled Weddington. First name Vincent, Vincent, Major, Dallas Police Department, Crimes Against Persons Division. We regret to inform you that the Dallas Police Department has located the remains of a small child who we believe to be 18-month-old Cedric Jackson, pending a positive identification. This is not the outcome we had hoped for, and we want to extend our deepest sympathies to the family at this time. Our office Officers discovered the child's remains shortly after 11 a.m. today in a landfill in Rowlett. The remains have been taken to the coroner's office to determine the cause of death. We have arrested Cedric Johnson, a black male, 27 years of age, for injury to a child, serious bodily injury, felony 1. Other charges are pending based on the outcome of the coroner's report. Our detectives learned that Mr. Johnson is the boyfriend of the aunt who had temporary custody of Cedric. After questioning the family on Wednesday, our officers discovered that Mr. Johnson was at the apartment when the abduction took place. We questioned Mr. Johnson, who then confessed that he had taken Cedric from the apartment and placed him in a dumpster in northeast Dallas. When the detectives arrived at the dumpster, they discovered that Cedric's body was not there. Detectives then learned that the dumpster had been emptied at least twice at a landfill in Rowlett. Dallas police, along with local firefighters and agents from the FBI, went to the location to search the landfill. Cedric remains again were found shortly after 11 a.m. today. Currently, we do not have a motive for this crime. It has not been established yet as to when or how Cedric has died. There are still a lot of questions surrounding this ongoing investigation, and we will be able to provide updates as they become available. We want to thank the Dallas Police Department, the Colleyville Police Department, the FBI, the Dallas Fire and Rescue, and the National Information Center for Missing and Exploited Children for their help with this investigation. I'll take questions now.
Well, clarifying question. Anyone have any clarifying question? What was the charge again for Cedric Johnson?
Injury to a child, serious bodily injury, felony 1.
What has Mr. Johnson said about what happened that night?
I can't go into that right now. That it's still an open investigation.
One more clarifying question. When did you say the confession was? Was it today or was it yesterday?
I didn't say when the confession was. He did confess. I'm not going to get into the timeline on the confession. He did state that he did remove the body from the house.
Thank you. Did a dog? Maybe say the name title.
My last name is Weddington, Weddington. First name Vincent. Title is Major, Dallas Police Department, Crimes Against Persons Division.
Major, do you almost see David living at that apartment, roughly?
No, sir.
Major, is Will Johnson still a person of interest, but also not connected in this case?
As it stands right now, let me get some clarification on that. He is not considered a person of interest in this case right now.
What about Crystal Gavin?
That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Major. Major, what role does CBU?
Like, comment, subscribe. You know what it is, man. I'm out.